just about that. And hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. Cider and Port back for another video. I am unfortunately doing just like the full screen version of Zoom because all of the setup that I did to get the cameras working yesterday was for literally nothing. I spent a half an hour setting up the cameras, and then when Michael joined, it was fucking top and bottom. I had it side to side. So fuck me, right? But look, we're here. We're here. We're live. We're all living. We're all alive. We're all here. And life goes on, and we'll just use this setup for the stream, and then going forward we'll do, I don't know, something else. Keep it as it was before, and I don't have any guests on, or we'll do something. I don't know. We'll keep it as it. How's life with you, Michael?
Really good. Just for everybody watching, hey, how are you? We may break into an impromptu solution focused brief therapy session here with Stephen. That may happen.
Sure.
So, but no, it's as we were remarking before he hit the live button. It's been entirely too long, brother.
Far too long, man. I had
Yeah,
hair the last time I was talking to you, I think.
it's true.
Genuinely,
Yeah,
yeah,
but you
yeah,
had kind
yeah,
of funky hair. Like it was kind of all on one side and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
I had memories pop up in Facebook because I had posted links to the debates that we did when we first met each other
Man,
on Modern Day Debate. Um, that's 5 years ago.
don't even fucking say that to me, man. Fuck off. That's not 5 years ago, man. There's no way. 2019, really?
Yep,
That's insane, man.
that is insane. And yeah, you can go back into. I know both Steve and I have a lot of time for James. Go to his YouTube channel. You can go back. You can probably search. I don't know what you would search
Oh my
to
god.
find us.
I don't even know.
I
No.
mean, because at that time it was John Maddox, and you remember
Smoky
who
Saint.
else?
Smoky
That's
Saint, yes.
right.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
he
remember
he he
well
can
who
now
that
be viewed
was.
at the kind of the late, your local penitentiary. Isn't he in jail now? I'm sure he's in jail,
I
isn't he?
don't know, man. The last that I heard, it was like that he was being arrested for what he was being arrested for. If you know, you know. It's like, yeah, I probably at this stage, because that was a while ago, man. I had
Yeah,
done, so we had our three debates, and then
that's right.
me and Leo Filius were due to debate CJ Cox and Smoky Saint on this one night. And so I remember it well. I was in the house that I was living in before. I'm now in my own house. I pay rent like a big boy. And so I was in the kitchen, and I had the whole fucking setup done, man. The laptop, the fucking big monitor, everything else. We were doing a little kind of like a me and Leo were doing a stream beforehand, and we were we were live, we were into it, we were literally midway through, and then Kevin off to the side, because he wasn't on stream, but he was there, had said like, dude, you just have to get an email into the chain that like Smoky Saint can't make it, and this is like a half an hour before the debate, so we were like, what
Oh
the
wow.
fuck? And it was
Yeah,
only in the days after that that we found out that that's what happened with Smokey. That he was like, what was it? What was the exact charges? Because like, look, I know that he's like fucking probably locked up at this point. I mean, he's not going to exactly do me for
yeah.
libel or anything else like that. Like, but like, I just don't want to get it wrong, just so that the audience doesn't hear the wrong information or whatever. So, like, what exactly was
I
the
think
charges that he was?
I think the safest thing to say would be something not necessarily becoming for someone who boasts themselves as holding superior Christian values.
Mm, mm.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, and I do remember that it involved like a minor, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A minor that was a major catastrophe. Yeah, and I do find it interesting when you hear these people, who come off holier than thou. I guess
Mm.
not necessarily holier than thou, just holier than us. Um,
Well,
and and yet we sit here years later. I don't know. I've never worn a pair of those shiny bracelets that you do up in the back. Have you?
which what?
The shiny bracelets that do up in the back, handcuffs.
Oh, gee, Sorry. No, I have
Yeah,
not. And as I presume is already evidenced enough in the fact that I didn't know what the fuck you were talking about.
yeah, yeah,
No, I have not.
yeah. It's just that's my Canadian accent. You haven't heard it in a while.
True,
No, and
true. I
it's
haven't.
funny because all of the other usual suspects, he's like they've just ghosted him like Swayze now,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
like you won't find someone like the aforementioned John Maddox.
Mm.
You won't hear that name escape his lips.
No. Like it's really kind of like weird. Like for like a while, like he was only kind of spoken about in like hushed tones amongst very
That's
kind
right.
of like select people. But now, like he
Has
he's
anyone heard from Smokey Saint? Yes.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Literally that kind of thing. Like, or, like, have you heard about what the situation is like, or is it true or whatever else? But yeah, like now it's just not really kind of talked about at all. But, yeah,
And then
man,
it was
I
back
can't.
for a while. Then he was
Yeah.
back for a while, and then he
Yeah.
disappeared again because he had that one pastor who actually I had a discussion with on Donnie's channel, Standing for Truth. And I can't remember his name now. It was he was a pastor with the long hair and a ponytail. I can't remember his name now. Very very influential man that I have no recollection of. Um, but it was like that was a decent chat, and he said like during the discussion he said I'm not feeling well and stuff like that, and he made up all kinds of excuses as to why I wiped the floor with him. Um,
Yeah.
and I'll take saying that, understanding that a pat on the back is only a foot away from a kick in the ass, and
True.
I accept that. But yeah, so
Yeah, no, it's baffling to me, man, to know that like it was fucking 5 years ago. Jesus Christ, that's actually insane, man. 5 years ago that we first met.
you were still in school.
I was in college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's really wild, man. That's really wild. Chris Peacock says, wasn't it Kenny? Is that
Yes,
ringing any?
Kenny. Yeah, I just can't remember his name now. His last name, Kenny. Yeah, yes, that is
Yes,
correct.
yes. Yes, Kenny last name wasn't given a last name at birth. But just
Exactly.
yeah. Um yeah, Jesus Christ. Right, okay. Look, we're 12 minutes into the stream and we haven't talked about what the fucking title is about. But look, I mean, we haven't talked in a little while, so it's good to have a little catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like okay, so just before we go into the highlights and stuff like that, and we actually kind of give like a proper kind of reaction without kind of going into, just because the highlights is probably going to include some things that I know that I'm going to probably bring up, it like just kind of without kind of going into that, like how did you feel having watched the debate? Like what was your kind of like reaction in the moment, like that sort of thing?
My reaction in the moment was, it was interesting because as you know, approximately 80% of our communication is nonverbal, and
Mm-hmm.
so body language was a huge thing to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
And like on both sides of the thing, my impression was that Kamala's voice was a little shaky the first couple minutes.
Yep.
I think she just had the kind of the pre-fight jitters, let's
Mm,
call it.
mm.
And but when she settled down into it,
Yeah.
it was a thing of beauty.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I did say to a few different people, I said, if you contrast the two presidential debates that have been, right?
Yeah.
First Trump Biden, then Trump Harris. On no planet did Biden win the first debate.
No.
And on no planet did Trump win the second one.
Yeah.
So it was basically like what you call it, just like day and night is the best way to put it.
Yeah. I mean, it was genuinely, it was like, man, it was so weird. It was so kind of like, I kind of remember watching it and having the thought of like, how long ago was the debate between Biden and Trump? Because it seemed at the time,
Yeah.
like it was fucking years ago. Because
Yeah.
Trump,
She
like,
said in June.
he demolished Biden. He crushed him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He did.
Like, man, there was nobody
Yeah.
that would ever say that Biden won the first debate. Nobody.
Yeah.
Um,
It was a combination of two things between watching the first debate where Biden was just old,
mm,
um, and the assassination attempt. Between those two things, my
yeah.
wife and I were sitting downstairs on the couch, and we just looked at each other and like, well, he just won the election. Like it's over, it's done. It's Trump for the next 4 years for the U.S. And I had kind of just resigned myself to that. That's what it was going to be. Between the debate and the assassination, it's over. It's done. And then obviously Biden did the selfless act, something Trump, he can't even spell selfless, let alone display it. So the selfless act of pulling out and saying, you know, I love my country more than I love the job, so on and so forth. And what I was worried about was nobody talked about Biden when Obama was president, right? Nobody talked about Cheney when W was president. Vice presidents don't get talked about. They're not, it's not that they're not doing anything, but they're not doing anything really mostly public, right?
Yeah.
They're the man behind the curtain. You know, like, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, right? Wizard of Oz kind of thing. They're off doing things and nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. And what I was afraid of was her coming in and being like, the fuck is she? What right does she have, right? And but then I had to kind of take a step back and listen to a couple of the reports that had come out and the trajectory her career had taken, right? Going from prosecutor, you know, I think it was assistant DA, then DA, all this, you know, kind of ramping up, senator, blah, 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 blah. It's a natural progression for her. So that I was able to bump that out of my mind pretty quickly. And then contrasting the other side of the screen where you have someone who's failed, twice impeached, failed former president, who the only thing he did, who bankrupted a fucking casino.
Three times. Wasn't just like that is arguably the most, like, from the other way of viewing it, that's the most impressive thing that he's done.
Yeah.
But it's not impressive in the way that, like, people normally think that, like, it, you know, impressive in that context goes in. Like, that is so, he is almost an impressively bad businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how on earth do you bankrupt a business that the phrase "the house always wins" comes from 3 times? Yeah. Like, it's just how do you do that? Literally, how do you do that?
I was in Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City a million years ago. And I mean, the place was just crawling with people. You know what it's like in a casino, right? You know, everything is dark. They pump the place full of oxygen, so you're basically high. They give you free booze as long as you're playing. At least they do in U.S. casinos. And so, I mean, and the money that was rolling through that place was unbelievable. And then when you hear this, so it's like, well, yeah, that bankrupt. I'm just like, sorry, how is that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, because had that been in Las Vegas, right, Trump would have ended up with a pair of very well polished cement shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, look, I mean, just kind of as I was saying there, like, in my immediate reaction, it was just kind of like, because, like, he was so just, like, different. And I've seen an awful lot of kind of discourse around online that, like, I genuinely, I think that the assassination attempts on him changed Trump. Not in any way that he will probably ever admit, but I think that it, like, he just hasn't quite been the same since. Like, if you look at any of his rallies that he's taken since, he's an awful lot more rambly, he's less coherent, he's less energetic, he was always kind of funny. He's not even really funny anymore. And this is, look, sorry, just a slight tangent. I fucking hated the way that people, it was like, predominantly your like classic liberals, right, who would say that like, no, that like Trump is like the worst president, blah 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 blah. That, yeah, I can kind of get behind. But man, the dude was fucking hilarious. Like, and you
Yep.
have to kind of give that to him. He
Yep.
was hilarious, but like he's just stopped even being funny now. Um,
Yeah.
and so,
And you're right. I mean, of course it's not something that I think like you could write it off to the assassination attempt.
yeah.
Of course, he's not going to have any personal insight to that. I mean, he's about as self-aware as a thumbtack. So, I mean, you're not going to get anything out of him. Like he's not going to come up with any pearl of wisdom as to why, this gave him some type of existential crisis or something like that. He's about as deep as a spoon. So
Mm.
there's nothing to him in that sense, right? Um, it's the kind of thing, you and I both, being in the social work field and stuff like that. I mean, he's a fucking case study.
Oh,
Like
100%. Man, I
he's just
envy people who are doing psychology right now, who are going to use him as a case, who are going to use this debate as a case study.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
genuinely, I actually envy them, because I could have not like non-distractingly like just sat down for like 3 hours and just non-stop fucking work. I'd have turned out a thesis in a night. Like
Yeah.
it is.
Well, yeah, it's funny because when we watched the debate, I ran back upstairs and I grabbed my DSM. And through I'm like da, 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 da. And it's like because he take it was like every and that's just the desk reference version, of course, but all of there's 8 traits to narcissistic personality disorder,
Yeah.
right? Name one he doesn't have. That was, of course,
Mm,
rhetorical. He has
yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
And so, but all of the things, but then the decline in the cognition as well, like his
Mm,
inability to muster coherence is really staggering at this point because to what you said, in 2016 when he rolled down that escalator, he could pop off one-liners.
mm,
When he was doing the Republican debates, like kind of the debates to determine who was going to be the Republican nominee, he would tear down Christian, he would tear down Jeb Bush, and he would tear down all these people with little quips,
yeah.
right? And all he can say now is he's everything he likes is the best, everything he hates is the worst, and everything is terrible. The sky's falling. I'm the only one that can save it.
Yeah, I mean, like, even like his like nicknames, shall we say, for the people that he was like running against. Like, there was like, yeah, okay, like Crooked Hillary wasn't really the best. It stuck and like it did its job, like, and whatever else. Like, but I mean, like, then there was Sleepy Joe, which you can understand.
Sleepy Joe,
You
Shifty Schiff,
yeah, you can
you
get where he's got, but like, man, like, he was running with fucking was it was it Kamabla for like a while, which was just
Oh
that was
yeah,
just stupid.
yeah,
He's like now calling her, what is it, like, Kamala Harris, or like something
yeah,
like that,
something
and
like
it's just
that.
like, man, like, even they're not that good anymore. Like, they're not
But
like
I mean, in
inventive.
fairness, in Trump's defense, the only reason he's saying that is because she's so obviously a Marxist.
Clearly, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, he said it in the
Um,
debate.
exactly. It must be true. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
what was interesting about that when she walked across the stage and basically had that beeline, like "fuck you, I'm coming right to you,"
Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
then said her name,
Yes. Yes. And if you
right.
notice, he never once said her name in
He
the
didn't say
entirety of the debate.
he didn't look at her.
Yeah.
He never looked at her.
Mm.
And there's a lot to that. When I sat and I watched this with my wife, and I've said to many people, my wife is one of the smartest people I know. And I say that with the caveat saying we were lucky enough to have Lawrence Krauss on our podcast, and I still say my wife is one of the smartest people I know. And she's like, well, he has nothing but disdain for her. One, it's a woman,
Yeah.
right?
True.
And I mean, this is someone who rides the patriarchy wave, like a pro, right? And so you could almost see in his facial features and in how he's gripping the lectern, how he's shifting from side to side. If you could plug a USB into the side of his head and have it spit out on the screen the things he was saying, I imagine it would be things like, "Who is this bitch talking to me right now? Does she know who she's talking to?
Yeah.
Like, those are the type of things that would be running through his head. Because he's because he's egomaniacal, because he's unbelievably narcissistic, all of these things. And so, it's like one, it's a woman. One of the very first things that he said, all the migrants that are coming in, what did he say? They're taking the black jobs.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. They're taking the black job. They're not taking my job. I'm a rich white dude, right?
Yeah.
They're not taking my jobs. They're taking all the jobs of the guys I hire.
Yeah. I loved Michelle Obama's line at the DNC where she was just kind of like, I wonder if he's realized that one of the jobs that he is currently like interviewing for, shall we say, is one of those black jobs. I fucking loved that line. Yeah. I thought it was brilliant. I'm sorry.
But he's too stupid to realize that the president of the United States is like any other politician. They're a public servant.
Yeah.
He's too stupid to realize that.
Uh-huh.
He thinks he's just the CEO of the United States.
Yeah. And as you said, it's exactly, he's just too stupid to realize that. He's too stupid to realize that he's after going into that type of job. But yeah, no, I just because it's kind of getting just a little bit into kind of like what was said at the debate. Look, I think we'll just fucking watch some highlights of the debate.
Fire it the fuck up.
Oh, right, let's go.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run.
Stephen,
4 sentences that are just,
Wait, you can't hear that at all?
Nope, not even a little bit.
Okay, right. So then we are going to... Oh, look, share sound.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
We'll try and lower
you hear that? Perfect. Cool.
taxes.
Perfect.
She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
Just to say, if you do want me to pause it at any stage, just let me know.
I'll just do something like this.
Yeah.
People. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit.
We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after...
Yeah, so this is the so it's interesting. So it's weird because the first thing he said was she has no plan. And the first words out of her mouth are aspects of her plan.
Yeah.
So it's like, duh. But what's interesting is I am not an economist. I only play one on TV sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I do have I do have a friend who is he's in commerce. He's like steeped in business stuff. He runs his own company, has bought and sold other companies. Pretty smart dude. And he's also like fiercely conservative. But he has no time for Trump's kind of bullshit. But he came out and he said, no one who knows anything about business will buy what he's selling. Because anyone that knows anything about business understands that a tariff has one purpose. The tariff is put in place to make this thing cost more for you to buy.
Yeah.
So you don't buy it. You buy something else.
Yeah. It
doesn't tax companies. That's not what a tariff is. He doesn't understand that. And he is praying, as much as he pretends to be Christian, he's praying that his base doesn't understand it either.
But it's just like so I don't take a single issue with anything that you said, but I mean, like, it's just like, how is it that we have somebody who has been in business for as long as he is, who has been president for 4 years, and doesn't understand how a fucking tariff works? Like, why? And it's just like, how on earth do you not know what a tariff is? Like, so if you pass an extra expense onto a business that is buying in something from a foreign country, do you honestly think that the business is going to eat the cost of that tax? Of course they're not. They're going to pass that on to the consumer. Like,
Exactly.
what is this? This is like, Jesus Christ. Okay, so
He screams about inflation, and ironically, his plan will increase inflation.
yeah. So sorry. So Chris Peacock says they fact check everything Trump said, but they didn't check any of Kamala's lies. Those earrings are an earpiece. The company who's made them spoke up. So they are absolutely not the earrings that I absolutely know the earrings that you are talking about. It's like from some like high tech company. It's like a clip on earring. You put it on. You don't even have to have your ears pierced. The clasp on those earrings are completely and utterly different to the ones that she is wearing right now, and she has also worn them before at past rallies. So little bit, but also even if that was true, it's a little bit of a self-own, and I don't quite think that people realize that it is a self-own, because essentially what you were doing is you were admitting that she was incredibly well spoken. She spoke very eloquently, and she got her points across effectively. So yeah, huge compliment to her there. But also, I'm not going to be a partisan hack here and say that she didn't lie at all, not even once throughout the entire 90-minute debate. There is not an example that is coming to mind. However, as will probably be in this highlight reel here, and I'm going to try and do this as dramatically as I know how to. He said that Haitian immigrants were eating cats and dogs.
Yeah. Well, the comment was to, what was his name, Chris?
Yeah, Chris Peacock.
Yeah. So one thing I would say is, Chris, so Stephen and I are both like way on the outside, right? I'm in Canada, right? You guys are like, you guys in the US, you are my underwear. But or we are your top hat, whatever you want to call it. But it's like, come to Canada, come for the fall, stay for the healthcare. But Harris was not perfect in this.
No.
I will give a specific example. The very first question she was asked, are you better off
yes.
now than we were 4 years ago? She did not answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
She sidestepped that question.
Yeah.
And that's not a good look. When the very first question you're asked, you do not give a concise and direct answer. So that was a fumble on her part. And if he had a brain between those Mandarin ears of his, he would have jumped all over that.
Yeah.
He would have said, "Why did you not answer the question?"
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah. I mean, she started off talking about like who she was and everything else like that, which, look, I don't necessarily take issue with. Because as we had said before, look, she's the vice president, and that's to say that she's not known or anything else. She was on the debate stage in 2020. She's been attorney general, she's been district attorney, she's been, she was a senator, she was a lawyer before all of that, and she's now vice president. I'm not saying that people have no clue who she is. I'm not saying that, but the American people didn't really kind of get like as much of an introduction to her as they did to Biden. So like, it was maybe not even necessarily a bad thing to kind of start with like, look, this is who I am, whatever else. Okay.
What they could have done.
Shit, he also said something else there, and it's after fucking going now.
Yeah.
It was something which is really, really weird. Sorry, Michael, it's not popping up in my YouTube live chat that I have here on the side, but it is popping up on the screen, which is really frustrating. But it started off with saying that, like, well, he didn't take a wage as president. No, he didn't. But he did also have a fuck ton of foreign dignitaries stay in his own properties and make them pay for staying there. And also the Secret Service had to go there because he was there. So that came out of your tax dollars. So you shouldn't actually be happy about that at all. It is also, I mean, look, you go back however many years ago it was when Jimmy Carter was president, and they made him sell his peanut farm because Congress, rightly so, said, well, look, you have this private property. We can't have foreign interests funneling you money through your peanut farm. That could be a possible conflict of interest. And they made him sell it. Did they make him sell a single one of his businesses? Did they?
Yeah.
Fuck. So,
no. And the other issue is that he never divested anything, right? To something that you said before, you know, he was president for 4 years, but we know, okay, we can't demonstrably show it, but I don't think it's a far reach given how much we saw him play golf, and how much we saw him in meetings with his sons and with Jared Kushner and all these other people, that because he never divested, should they ever decide, should the Justice Department ever decide to go after him, I feel pretty confident that they would be able to get him under the emoluments clause of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Because there is no way, like, even if you just look at Mar-a-Lago, right? Like you said it, with all the people that were staying there, that directly financially assisted him. Even now, when he goes to Mar-a-Lago and takes his Secret Service contingency with him, you think he's letting them stay there for free? No, it's being charged back. He's still making money off of that. He made exponentially more than the, what is it, $400,000 a year that the presidential salary pays. And if you can't see through that, that's grossly ignorant.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, man. But yeah, look, I'm sure, I don't know. I didn't actually think that Chris was of that opinion. Maybe that's just my own ignorance. That, like, way, like, you know, on the political side of things, I didn't think that. And again, look, maybe that could just be my ignorance. But hey ho, we're all here for the lols and the giggles anyway. So yeah, no, I mean, I will pause it if I see him commenting again.
Sure.
But yeah, for now we'll crack on.
75 years pay us back for all that we've done for the world. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. They have, and
this was my main issue with Trump debating just as a whole, not even in this one, but just as a whole. Like, dude, name your fucking, like, stop playing the pronoun game. Like, talk about what you're talking about. The numbers of things that it was like 50, 60, 70, 80%. What things? What are the things? Yeah. Name the things. Because things is unbelievably fucking like what?
Yeah. But just like our religious friends, right? They have to play in this realm of ambiguity, right? So just a quick little search of the almighty Google shows that the current annual inflation rate in the US is 2.5%. Most statisticians agree that an inflation rate between 2 and 2.9% is ideal for peak economic growth. However, prices are still approximately 22% higher. This is due to pandemic inflation and the unwillingness of companies to bring prices back down to pre-pandemic levels. What the fuck does the government have to do with that?
Yep, 100%. I mean, it was also, so during a rally, I think it was, that Kamala said that she was going to put on like a ban on price gouging, and it was shortly after that, it was maybe a day or two after that, that there was like this like internal review in the form of a study that came out that was like, yeah, like a bunch of companies have been intentionally price gouging.
Yeah.
They are back to levels that was pre-pandemic. They are, you know, they're making steady profits again, but they were like, nah, fuck it, let's get more, and they started charging people more. So like like that's like, and but again, that's a private company doing that. So how on earth is that the fault of the government?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't know what the cost of fuel is in Ireland, but right now, the national average in Canada, if you take out if you take whatever their our price per liter, multiply it by 3.78, which is how many liters there are to an imperial gallon, and then take the exchange rate out, we in Canada are still paying $3.60 a quote unquote gallon for gasoline, but $1.60 per liter for regular unleaded gasoline. Unlike what Trump was saying, that there were places in the US that were charging $9 a gallon for fuel, which is positively nowhere. Like they can't find one. They can't. The only citation they were able to find was in California, and it was for cars that run 120 pump octane for like super high like hyper cars that charge something like, you know, $17 a gallon or something like that for that special. It's basically like fucking rocket fuel.
What did you say the exchange rate on it was?
Our exchange rate
to get it up to gallons, multiply it by what?
3.78.
So in that case, then it would be €6.80 a gallon. I don't
Yeah.
know what that
so,
is.
So Americans can suck a gigantic dick because you're paying even more than we are.
Yeah.
Like you're paying like 70% more than we are.
Yeah. And just as another kind of slight aside, the president doesn't set the gas prices.
Yeah. There's that. Yeah.
They
and
have
there's
also no control over what the fucking gas prices are. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, it's I don't know. This is
Stephen, why do we know more about this shit than the Americans do?
This is my point, man, and I've said it on previous streams as well. It's just like, why do I know this shit and ye don't? Like, this is your country's policies. This is your country's politics. Like this is shit you should know. I know it, and yet I'm like, apparently I have to fucking inform people who live in America how America works. That's wrong. That's wrong. I'm sorry. Like, if I can fucking research and know this shit just offhand and be able to readily say it, then you should be as well. Like, I don't know whether it's just like an unwillingness to find this shit out, or whether we just live in such like a fucking headline culture that when you see a headline, it's just, oh, that's obviously true, and then just move on with your life. It's like, no, man, you need to fucking go into the fucking article and read, you know, like, and it's like, not every source is an actual source, or is it a reliable source. Not every stat is a reliable stat. How did they, like, what was their methodology? Like, there is an entire college course in Ireland around learning, like, how to be a statistician, like how to like actually read statistics, how to get to like just like, it's not fucking easy. You don't just go around, oh well, like, I asked like 9 members of my family, and out of 10, and they said that Trump won, so Trump won. That's not a fucking poll, dude. That's not a poll. Like,
we need to get some degree of clarification though, because just for the record, I get 99.9% of my news from Facebook and Truth Social. So am I not using accurate sources?
No, apparently no. I'm saddened to tell you now, Michael, but no, that would not be.
For the record, I do not use Truth Social for news.
But it's, oh god, man,
You've got me drinking over here in Canada.
I'm fucking tempted to. I'm not even. I don't know. I'm not on like necessarily like a fucking health kick right now, but I mean like you've probably seen the fucking black. Like I'm drinking fucking like Coke Zero sugar. Like
Oh, okay.
again, not a health kick.
I'm drinking Coke Zero with dark rum.
Yeah, I mean like not a health kick or anything, but it's just like I want to start drinking.
I prefer not to. Well, it's funny because over the past year and a half, I've lost about 100 pounds, and one of the ways in doing it was cutting out things like pop, right? Because like Coke. I mean, Coke is delicious, right? But it also has a shit ton of sugar and carbs, right? And if I'm going to have carbs, I'm not going to drink my carbs. I'm going to eat my carbs. So
fair.
Yeah. So I'll have Coke Zero or Diet Coke and shit all the time too.
I was actually I was like, sorry. Now I was going to say I did think that you had lost weight, but I just young Steven used to drink Lucozade, man. I used to fucking hop off that shit, man. Jesus Christ, that was like my fucking drink of choice. But anyway, like I did think that you had lost weight, but it was just I didn't necessarily even want to address it just because like it's been so long since we've talked. I kind of thought that might have been old news.
If you take a screenshot of this and then go back to the pictures of when you and I were on Modern Day Debate,
yeah,
you'll see a much rounder Michael.
Well, no, I mean, like, dude, genuinely, fucking 100 pounds. That is absolutely nothing to be fucking sniffed at. You know what I mean? Like, you genuinely, like,
thank you, sir.
You know, genuinely, that's a high achievement.
Well, I'm in my 50s now, so I got to be careful.
Yeah, man, the two of us were fucking young 5 years ago. You know that?
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ, I'm fucking 30 next year, man. I'm not like afraid of it, but like, I'm not necessarily looking forward to it either.
Steven, get up close.
Yeah, sure.
My daughter's 28.
Yeah, man, I remember when we were like first. I think it was maybe like the second like pre-conversation that we had before the debate. Like we were kind of getting into us as people a little bit more. Like, and I had kind of said, that like my age, and you were saying, yeah, that your daughter's a year younger than me. It's just,
Yeah,
man, was that not a little bit like, with the benefit of hindsight and everything else, like, was that not a little bit like, I don't want to say weird, but like, was it like a little bit, I don't know, like odd, maybe, kind of debating with somebody like a year older than your daughter? Like
no, because age is no, because if you look at the Mandarin Mussolini there, you can see that age is not a hallmark of either intelligence or wisdom. So I would never judge somebody. Well, I'd say, well, you're too young to know anything, right? The only thing that I would say that I have, quote unquote, over you is I have the life experience that only age can give me.
Yes, true.
But that doesn't mean that I know more than you.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, but I think like the idea was at least that, that like if you were around, like, so if you were like 20 years older than me, the idea always was, well, you've had 20 extra years to just find stuff out, to ask questions, to figure shit out, to do like extra research, to investigate other things. So like it always kind of, I suppose, kind of has been the case that like it was almost expected that the older that you were, the more kind of like intelligent, or the more like more stuff that you knew. But I mean, like, honestly, man, like with the age of the internet that we're kind of growing up in now, I mean, like, man, like if I'm scrolling TikTok, sorry, this is an entire fucking side tangent.
No worries, brother.
There was
it was gonna happen. We know it was gonna happen.
Yeah, true. I don't know if you saw it, but Jubilee put out a video not that long ago. It was only maybe a week old at
I don't know who that is.
So they're like, oh god, they do this really, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, odd sort of debate format where they'll have like, it's essentially a warehouse, right? I know there's a lot of red flags, honestly, around. Like, for their first video, they must have been kind of like, there's nothing fucking sketchy going on here. It's just where we're at filming. So it's it's in this large warehouse, and they have like almost a complete circle of chairs, and you sit on one side of that half circle if you agree with a given statement that's said by the organizer or by whoever's hosting it, and you sit on the other side if you disagree with it, and then you'll just kind of hash out ideas, right? That's Jubilee's kind of like main format. However, they changed it slightly. Charlie Kirk, the man with the incredibly small face.
No, not incredibly small. Well, yeah, he has a small face for his head.
Yeah,
he's weird. Yeah. He's a caricature. He's hysterical.
He really, really is. I mean, he looks. I can only imagine what like a cartoonist must draw up if he sits down for one of those like cartoon caricature things. Like,
you know what he looks like a Flintstone.
Yeah, he does. He does. What's TikTok? Is that some kind of fancy clock? I mean, technically, yes. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. So he sat down at this table in the middle of this circle, except for this time it was like a complete circle, and they had 25 people versus Charlie Kirk, right? And now the one thing that was really kind of weird is that they kind of like implemented like a debate musical chairs, where Charlie would kind of say a statement that he agreed with, and then that like the 25 people would go up and kind of argue their case, right? And so it was like a countdown, and then you literally ran to the chair, and like sometimes we're like pushing people off, whatever else. Anyway, sorry, I'm explaining this way too much.
You're good.
There was a guy on there, goes by Parker, and he's on TikTok. He fucking destroyed him. I mean, he destroyed it. Parker's like 18 years old. And so to kind of bring this full circle is that like the internet age that people are growing up in now, information is so easily accessible that like you can be 18 and have the like debate prowess of someone like my age, if not even older. So like I'm excited to kind of see the up and coming debate spheres, and to kind of see what kind of conversations are going to be happening. Just to kind of put it into, to like give you an example. So one of the prompts that Charlie said was that trans women are not women, right? Which of course he would agree with that prompt. And Parker got up, and Charlie asked him what a woman is, and he gave a fairly succinct, rather broad definition of what a woman is. But then again, I mean, like, what the fuck is a woman? It's not just XY chromosomes or whatever else, right? Blah, 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 or XX even, sorry. And then Parker asked Charlie, what is a man? And he said, you're looking at one. It's someone who has XY chromosomes. And then Parker said, well, hang on, does God the Father have XY chromosomes? Is he like a living body? And Charlie was like, well, he was, because it's in three persons. So after, like, when he kind of went down, basically got back to Parker literally saying,
Jesus is transgender?
that your most successful video with 20 million views is what is a woman, and you don't know what a man is. And he fucking crushed him, dude. It was fucking fantastic to watch. But
yeah. It's funny. I don't spend a lot of time talking about the trans issues, and I'm an ally. I support. Like, I don't have any skin in the game. What I'll typically tell people is I have the whole privilege pie. I'm a straight white cisgender male, right? And I've got money, right? I have all of the privilege, and so I will stand back and I will listen to what people who have more skin in the game have to say, and I'm probably going to learn something from them. The one thing that I have learned about the whole, what is a man, what is a woman, is, are we talking about, and this goes to kind of like to my part of in like my education, right? Are we talking about sex or gender? Because those are two dramatically different things, right? because you can say from a sex perspective, XXXY, but what about people who have double X, right? What about the people who have double, like there are exceptions to those rules. Evolution is a funny thing. And so, but then when we talk about genders, right, that's, you can basically just take it and throw it out the window, because when we talk about genders, and we have to talk about gender roles and all these other things and societal pressures and all these things. And it is not, I think what's happened is that there have been people on the right, probably fair to say,
yeah,
who probably aren't either smart enough, caring enough, or empathetic enough to look at it for the very, very complicated topic that it is. And they want to distill it down to a soundbite that's 20 seconds long with absolutely no nuance in it whatsoever. And it does a disservice to society when you do something like that.
Okay, so I just Googled this. I am not even going to attempt to fucking pronounce what the actual thing is, but genuinely, I think that not every, I don't want to go that kind of broad, but I think the vast majority of like right-leaning and especially conservative people, they just have this overwhelming fear of change. You know, it's always been, oh my God, metasophobia. I don't even know what the fuck that is. Genuinely, anyway, because it's always been the case that, you know, you were assigned male at birth, we'll say, and that's just what you were for your entire fucking life. That was you, that was who you were, that was what you were, etc. And it's just become this thing that, like, I'm a gender abolitionist, right? And what I essentially mean by that is, like, just fuck the social construct, fuck the social rules. Then, you know, that, like, no, if you're a woman, you wear skirts and you have long hair and you're pregnant and barefoot and you clean the kitchen, right? Fuck that. Fuck all that. Just live your life how you want to live it. Be happy. Don't hurt other people. That's it. Like, why can't, like, but why is that, like, why is that controversial? Why is that kind of like, oh no, we can't possibly go into that? Like, but just, like, why though? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jesus. That's why it's controversial. But no, it's interesting. So, again, my wife and I were having a conversation once, and we are partners in the truest sense, right? We both go out, we both do our thing. Some work from home, sometimes out doing all these different things, right? I cook at least 5 nights of the week. I take care of most of the laundry. None of us clean the house. We pay somebody else to do that. I'm not cleaning the fucking house. But what we decided on is that our kind of our gender roles is partners.
Yeah. 100%.
There's a list of shit. Like, if you were to take a piece of paper and write down all the shit that has to happen during the course of a week in order for your quote unquote house to work, in order for the wheels to keep rolling, right? There's a whole bunch of shit that has to happen. Neither of us give one hairy fuck who does those things. Because there are some weeks when she is swamped and let's just say there's 25 things. Some weeks she's absolutely swamped and I do 21 of them. And then the next week I do 9. And the next week I do 12. Who cares? It's all getting done. But this kind of gross oversimplification, you said it, barefoot and pregnant, man, or bring me a beer, all that shit. And we've seen it now, because in the same way biological organisms evolve, society evolves.
Yeah.
And we are seeing that evolution take place in real time, where it is no longer like either one of us could do it. Like my wife and I could quit my job and we'd be just fine. My wife could quit her job. We'd be just fine. We're an anomaly. Most families, there's no such thing as man goes out and works, woman stays home, rears children. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That is, we have evolved out of that.
Yeah.
And with that, I think rightfully so, goes these gender norms, right? Because who cares?
Yeah, look, I mean, like I absolutely love to cook, man, you know, and my girlfriend, I think she's watching. But I mean,
Hi.
like we've kind of like spoken about, you know, that when we do kind of move in together, that like it's not just going to be kind of like, well, here's a list of your jobs and here's a list of mine. It's like, no, as you've just said, there are jobs to be done and we both do them. But but it's not always that's not always going to be the case either. As you said, like there are going to be times where I'm extremely busy and she's going to have to kind of pick up the slack. And then there's going to be times where it's vice versa, and I'm going to have to do it. And it goes back to this video that I saw a little while ago, which I absolutely fucking love, and I hope it kind of goes a little bit more viral than it already has. But it's just like, and I think that it's going to resonate with you, and I hope that you're going to agree with me. But like, a relationship, a marriage is never 50-50. Like that myth needs to fucking go. It's never 50-50. Sometimes
it's
I'm
100.
yeah, sometimes I'm gonna like come home and I'm gonna be like, babe, I got like 20. And she said, it's fine, because I got your 80, right? As long as the two numbers combine to make 100, we're good. If there's ever a time, and we practice this, if there's ever a time where I say I've got 20 and she said I've got 30, okay, we need to do something together then. We need to fucking rent him, you know, we need to go onto Netflix, pick something, go and get some fucking snacks, have a cuddle, have a fucking night out to get back to where we're both going to eventually add up to 100. And it's this idea that like it's never 50-50, and it like it's just weird. Like why are I fucking love cooking. I absolutely love it. I don't think I'm especially good. I wouldn't put myself as chef quality, but I love doing it. I love cooking.
To take a line from the philosopher Mike Tyson, if you don't give it 100%, you're bound to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I, we've been married for 18 and a half years now. And what we do, very much like what you do, we're going to turn this into a fucking counseling session.
Yeah.
One of the things we do is we do the same thing. I will ask her, like, you know, again, you take the tells, right? What's your body language like? Things like that. You can tell by talking on the phone, whether or not they're, you know, like kind of where they are. And we'll ask each other, what's your battery at? You know, everybody has these things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your battery at? And sometimes she'll be like, I'm at 1%. Right. And to what you said, then when she tells me she's in a situation like that, that is my cue to just do whatever has to get done.
Yeah. Because
next Thursday, when I'm at 1%, she's going to do the same thing. And it doesn't mean that I go and cook a 7-course meal. Sometimes it just means I order a fucking pizza.
Yeah. No,
right.
Yeah, 100%.
But I just take care of whatever has to get taken care of. And to go back to other stuff, it's like people talking about, it's like, I'll talk to my friends and stuff like that. So like, what'd you do? I did laundry last night. And I've had a couple of them look at me. I'm like, like, here's the secret, guys. Laundry's easy. It's not like we're taking it out and fucking beating it against the rocks at a riverbed. I put it in the machine, and I beep, and it fucking does itself. Like, I'll do laundry all day long. It's easy. Sometimes I'd rather like I should take all my money and open a laundromat, right? You know, so I'll call it the social workers laundromat, and I'll just do counseling sessions and fold t-shirts. It's not a big deal. But yeah, we've gone so far off topic.
We have so far. Jesus Christ, we still have the fucking freeze frame of Kamala and Trump on the screen as well.
Yeah. Maybe we should get back to that.
Wait, yeah, maybe.
Because this is good. Because this is good shit. Yeah. It really is good shit.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, all right. We'll jump back in. And that was an anticlimactic moment because I was not on the right screen.
She has destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country. First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years.
See, again, that's not true. One of the bills that the Biden administration threw was the Chips and Sciences Act, right? To invest in infrastructure and companies and all that other stuff to manufacture processors and all that other shit. Like, that's just a flat lie. That, again, he's hoping people are too stupid to look up.
Or that just nobody fact check. He just says it and people believe it. But here's the other thing. Can anybody who is right leaning, if Chris is still in the chat, can you tell me what Mike Pence's greatest achievement as vice president was? Can you tell me what Joe Biden's greatest achievement as vice president to Obama was? Can you tell me what fucking Bill Clinton's vice president, whose name I don't even fucking know or can remember, what his greatest achievement as vice president? The vice president does fucking nothing. They have two responsibilities. Only two of them. If something happens where the vice president or where the president is like ousted or dies in office or something like that, the role is, that's the first job, you step up to president. That's the first job. The second job is you are the tiebreaker in the Senate. That's it. That's your only roles. That's your only responsibility. That's all you do. Like,
and the president sends them off on diplomatic missions to, go to some country, shake hands, kiss babies, and make me look good. Yeah,
exactly. But it's just like that. Like the role of the vice president is so insurmountably small. They do like one of 5 things, and that's it. You know, like we've gotten to 3, as in the like 2 jobs, and then the go and kiss ass and make me look good. I'm sure we can probably think of 2 other things that they do, but I mean, like the point is, like, that they do fucking nothing. They do nothing, and so. Sorry, man. Spooky has just said Mike Pence's greatest achievement was not getting lynched, which, you have to. That. Yeah, that's
even though he did try to usher in Gilead, right?
Yeah, but I mean, there was like a whole mob. We all saw them. There was, several thousand. One would even say tens of thousands, fucking strong, who were chanting.
Oh, Trump would say it was the biggest. It was the biggest crowd ever. Yeah, it was the biggest crowd.
Yeah, who were literally all chanting "Hang Mike Pence." So yeah, honestly, not getting lynched. Yeah, that's a good point. That probably was his greatest achievement. But it's oh man. Yeah.
Could you imagine being the Secret Service on January 6th, having to guard Trump and having to guard Pence from the people Trump told to get Pence?
Yeah.
Not in so many words, because he never actually said that, but he did say stuff like Mike Pence let us down.
Yeah.
Hope he did. It's like he was like a mob boss. Oh, Mike, it's a real nice country. Mike would be ashamed if something happened to it, right? But that's his mentality, right? And so I could just imagine the people sitting around, the metaphorical Secret Service roundtable going, what the fuck are we supposed to do with this?
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, who do you listen to in that case, right? Like, do you listen to the president, who is the commander in chief, and I mean, technically speaking, like in that scenario, your boss, or do you also protect the person that you were also sworn to protect? So, but like, you can't do both. So like, who do you listen to? Like, it's I never actually thought about it from that point of view. Yeah, genuinely.
But that's the interesting thing, right? Is that the government. And this is true of the Canadian, and I'm sure it's true of the government in Ireland as well, is that the government is mostly made up of just bureaucrats. They're not partisan people, right? Like there's a cabinet, right, that is selected by the head of state. But the rest of the people are just career bureaucrats who work for, like in Canada, like the Canada Revenue Agency or the Ministry of Transportation and Communications, all these things. They have nothing whatsoever to do. They've never spoken to the Prime Minister. They don't have a special bat phone to get in touch with them if they need to. And that is the same in the US, right? Is these career bureaucrats, like the people who work for the Department of Education, they individually, one might be the person sitting there is a Republican, the person sitting over there is independent, and the guy over there, he's a Democrat, right? But they're not partisan hacks, right? They're just bureaucrats. And when you have agencies like the Secret Service, they're not the loyalists that Trump would want to have in place, like it will be if Project 2025 was ever enacted. But they're just government people that say, "What's your job? To protect government people." Okay, I don't like that son of a bitch, but it's my job to protect them.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was having a conversation with one of the guys in work about this who'd be kind of like interested in and kind of up on politics as well. But I was just kind of saying that like Trump is undoubtedly stupid, but he's not an idiot. He is unbelievably talented at talking out of both sides of his mouth. So
yeah, that's a real skill.
He has this like uncanny ability to whatever accusation you kind of levy at him. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Because if you say you told your supporters to storm the Capitol. No, I didn't say that. I said to go there and protest. I didn't tell him to go inside. I didn't tell him to break shit. I didn't tell him to go into any of the offices and drag people out. I didn't tell him. And technically speaking, that's correct. He didn't tell him to go into the Capitol. He didn't tell him to fucking want to drag Nancy Pelosi out or want to fucking be chanting hang Mike Pence. He didn't tell him to do any of that. So it's really kind of difficult to get like specific accusations to stick with him. So like
the ultimate implausible deniability.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like again, and I don't want to overstate this. He's not an idiot, but he is definitely stupid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes him dangerous, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like he's not like, so how can I put this? He's not stupid, he's uneducated. Like he's ignorant. Like he doesn't understand stuff. You know, never attended briefings at the White House when he was president. You know, just wanted them to be, you know, he wanted somebody to tell him stuff because he didn't want to have to read anything.
Yeah, or like, wasn't it like a thing that was going around in like his first term that like he wanted like briefings to be kept to like a single A4 page? Am I remembering that correctly? I know it was a little while ago now, but like,
it might have been, but then the kicker to that was he wanted basically this kind of short form briefing, and then he wanted somebody to basically read it to him. Because there was speculation that was because his actual reading comprehension was not that great.
Well, look, I would have I am very sorry to say I would have zero issue believing that. Yeah, it's wild. Genuinely, I would have no issue believing that his reading age is not that. I mean, like he's such a limited vocabulary as well. Like if you actually listen to the man speak, or if you've ever been unfortunate enough to attend or to watch any of his rallies, he does not have a wide vocabulary at all. Like he'll always say that things are either, you know, like he'll say that like, oh, that like Biden was the worst president and she's the worst vice president. Things are tremendous. They're amazing. They're this. It's like he just doesn't have like, I've never heard him say that like something is like atrocious, or I've never heard him say that like it was like abysmal or anything else like that. And I mean, like, that's not even like you know, fancy language or anything else like that. Like that's just like that's just like expanding your vocabulary just a little bit. Not even that much.
He just needs a thesaurus.
Yeah, exactly. Because he keeps saying the same words over and over and over and over and over again.
I remember the first time when I first started getting into this whole like watching these, you know, religious debates and stuff like that. It's probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, something like that. Maybe a little bit longer than that. And I remember the first time I watched a debate with Sam Harris, right? Neuroscientist, super smart guy. And that was the first time that I watched a debate, one of those debates where I felt dumb.
Yeah.
Because he has a very sophisticated vocabulary. I can't even say the fucking word. Very sophisticated vocabulary, and he would go off on some of these rants and stuff like that, and it's like it was just kind of interesting to watch. Like even I'll say sometimes, like when I'm talking to people and people say, well, can you wrap it up? Can you wrap it up? Something like that, and I'll just kind of play off it now. I'll just say, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm superfluously verbose. And people get the idea that I talk, basically it's a fancy way of saying I talk too much.
Yeah. My favorite example of just for no real kind of purpose, just kind of showing off your level of vocabulary is I will say that I am disinclined to acquiesce to your request, which just means no.
No,
it just means exactly. No. That's it. It's just that's all it means. But yeah, Jesus Christ. All right, okay. We'll burst on because we are less than 2 minutes into this 9-minute video, and the stream is an hour and 15 minutes so far. So let's
amazing.
Let's crack on, or I'm gonna be up all night.
Amazing. Yep.
Years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
And Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually.
So what's interesting there is this harkens back to lots of people online, whether it be, do you ever watch the Midas Touch Network or Brian Taylor Cohen? These guys.
I watch Brian Taylor Cohen. I don't watch the first one.
Yeah, I like Brian as well. He said this very eloquently. He said basically they had an incredibly conservative senator, James Langford, sit down at the table with the government and say, let's put together a border bill. Let's put together a border bill. And it was so bad that basically they gave Langford everything he asked for. Right. And this is like Langford looks like a more intense Mike Pence, if you can believe that. And then as Brian Taylor Cohen put it, they sent it up for a bill, and then Trump put out what he called his clarion call, saying, kill the bill, right? And Mike Johnson killed the bill because Trump wanted to be able to do what he's doing in this debate. He wanted to be able to say everything's shitty. Because if they would have solved the problem, he can't complain about the problem.
Yeah. And I mean, he was asked in this debate, why did you do that? Why did you ask your people to kill the bill? And he never answered the fucking question. What is it? What was the 5 D's of dodgeball? Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's that's all he did for the entire fucking thing. We've already said, look, neither of us are partisan hacks. We've already said that Kamala dodged the first question. that neither of us are partisan hacks. We're not saying that she did a flawless fucking victory here, but like that's all he did. He just dodged question. He just talked about what he wanted to talk about. You know, yeah, it was just weird, honestly, man. You know, just honestly, just weird. Why do I have two mice? Look on the screen. There is two mice. I'll try and get it hovering. Oh, here we go. That's pretty much like, unless you're watching this on like a fucking big ass 4K screen, you're not going to notice that there's two mice there. Sorry, it was very distracting. ADHD. My cat is screaming at me. What is it that you want? What is it? What was I going to say? I have completely forgotten now. Yes, on with the stream. You see, look, there you fucking go. ADHD again.
Actually, a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around.
That was a signature moment in the debate.
Yeah, 100%.
Men in general, but certainly not this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Right? Someone who was found liable for sexual assault. And so, someone who is now facing what? $94 million in defamation charges?
Mm-hmm. Something like that, yeah.
Because it was 88-5, but then it's been running with interest and shit like that. So E. Jean Carroll's going to be able to hopefully retire very well.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about this is I'm not going to be careful about how I say this, because a woman is saying this, she doesn't have to feign emotion about it.
Yes.
Yeah. She can just talk about it as a woman. And he has no answer for that. Right. But nobody would. It wouldn't matter whether Chris Christie was up there or John Kasich, you could put anybody else in that place, and none of them would have the ability to speak with the passion and emotion that only the relatability of womanhood can give you in Kamala's shoes. Mm-hmm. And so it's lovely, and it's great that she can be so poignant in that way. But don't for a second think that he gives a flying fuck. Right? He doesn't give the first fuck about that. Right? He spoke in this debate about how much she has flip-flopped. And the interviewers questioned her, saying, it's like, have your values changed? She clarified quite eloquently, I thought, that no, my values have not changed. But this is a guy who said nobody else could do it. I brought down Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
But was it last week or 2 weeks ago, said that a 6-week abortion ban in Florida was way too radical.
Yeah.
And so they had to look at
or something.
They had to do something different. He is a fan, like he is a supporter of the exceptions of rape, incest, and the life of the mother, which is more than a lot of the really, really crazy evangelical right. Like they don't, like I was talking to somebody on the podcast, I think it was a few years ago. I forget his name now, it doesn't matter. But this guy that I was talking to, he didn't even think that ectopic pregnancies
our country.
Were, in other words, he didn't even think that an ectopic pregnancy was reason for an abortion.
I mean, that's insane, man. That's insane. There has literally not been a single case of a woman surviving an ectopic pregnancy that went untreated.
It's a death sentence for
Yes.
fetus and
Yeah. It is a death sentence for the fetus, absolutely, in literally every case. However, if it is treated, it is not a death sentence for the mother.
that's right.
But yeah, anyway, yeah. No, look, I mean, I don't have anything to add because I don't think I could have actually said it better. Yeah, I genuinely, this was undoubtedly one of the like kind of standout moments of the debate where she talked about that issue. I think that Trump genuinely, like, it appeased his base when he did it, and you know the achievement, as he calls it, of getting rid of Roe v. Wade. It spoke to his base and it did a lot of good with his base, but when it comes to like independent voters and swing voters and stuff like that, it drove them away. Like in the long term, it was good in the short term because like his base fucking loved him for it, but in the long term and in this specific scenario now that there's like a new presidential run, it seriously fucking backfired on him.
It did, seriously. And the other thing that's in the irony is this is the party of small government.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we want small government, but we also want to go into your doctor's office with you.
Yeah.
Right? That's terribly convenient. And I think it was my wife shared the piece from an article that she had read some time ago, and she said if men could get pregnant, abortions would be available at like a drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I agree with
100%.
that completely. I agree with it completely. She said something interesting. She said that men are responsible for 100% of the pregnancies because a man can go out and knock up 10 women in a day. I mean, I can't do it anymore, and I'm an old man. You probably still can. But it's like it's preposterous that this group of largely men, like, have you seen the board of directors for the Heritage Foundation?
Yeah.
Just a bunch of white dudes. I think there's one woman on it. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. And there's just like, we're putting these policies together for the good of the American people. Yeah, yes, but fuck, women are only half the population. Calm down, right? So, which is the best thing to tell a woman, is to tell a woman to calm down and relax.
Yeah, that historically works a treat.
Exactly.
But, yeah, I was just going to say, well, look, could I potentially, hypothetically, do 10 women in one day? I don't even know if I have the fucking stamina for that. Definitely not now. I'm in a committed relationship, but I mean, yeah, no, I mean, the stamina for fucking 10, maybe 5, maybe if we're pushing it, but you know, that's all hypothetical. But yeah, genuine. I have lost my train of thought.
Just start the stream up again.
Yeah, it's the go-to recovery move anyway.
It's the default.
You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot? She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't want that. If you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him.
For a second.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about that is that time and time again, she turned and directly looked at him, and the motherfucker just stared straight ahead.
Yeah. With that stupid fucking
that one right there.
Look on his face. Yeah.
Just like with everyone. How do you, and it's funny because it would piss off his base, but he would win back the independents or the undecideds if he took a more liberal perspective on this type of thing. Right. And the other thing he didn't do, and he never addressed in this, is he didn't say that he would veto a national abortion ban if it came to his desk.
Yeah. J.D. Vance said it in an interview, but he's not going to be president. Trump is.
Exactly.
Potentially, if he wins, which I think that chances for that, especially now, are very, very low. But yeah, no, he never said no. I would 100%, like, I would veto that bill. He never said that. He still hasn't said that.
No, because he needs to hold on to that. For that, like, so a lot of the people, so like we said before, I spend a lot of time talking to people online. I'm on the app Clubhouse a lot. And one of the rooms that I go into is called Ask a Christian. And there's the Nate, the guy that owns the room. He's not a bad guy, but some of the people that go in there are loopy. There's one guy who has said he will not support Trump because when the Republican platform came out, it was the least, what did he say? It was the least pro-life platform that's come out of the Republican Party in like 40 years or something like that. And so he said he would not support it. I called him out. I went on stage. I unmuted. I'm like, you will hold your nose and vote for Trump. But he needs to not say that he would veto it, because there are members, you know, those hyper hardcore members of the religious evangelical right. That's good. That's like the only thing that's holding on. That's the only thing that's got them about to flip the switch for Trump, is because they believe he would sign a national abortion ban, which is what they want.
Yeah, I mean, like, so he needs to keep his base, so he can't say that he would veto it, but he also needs independent voters and he needs swing voters, so he needs to say that he would veto that. So he's literally, I mean, like, he's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, you know. He's like kind of fucked if he does and fucked if he doesn't, you know. Like he needs to kind of get the less radical people out there who will vote for him, but that they might only do it if he says that he would veto that bill, but he's not going to say that. And that's the problem.
What's interesting, though, is that he has done nothing to demonstrate that he's trying to grow his base in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed his rhetoric substantially since 2020, since he started, you know, about the whole I won the election.
Yeah.
Right? He hasn't changed any piece of rhetoric substantially since then. So he's not like, when this debate was over, his base, even with the ridiculous bullshit he spewed, his base didn't shrink by one vote.
No.
It didn't grow by a vote either.
No, it stayed the exact
but it
same.
didn't shrink. It didn't shrink at all. And you're 1,000% right. He needs to grow that, but he doesn't know how to, because he can't walk and chew gum at the same time. He knows he has to keep his base happy. And he doesn't know how to nuance his way into keeping his base happy and growing at the same time.
Yeah, because I mean, like, his rhetoric is what his rhetoric is, and it's only going to appeal to a certain demographic of people. If he was to start reaching out to other people who, like, are undecided or they're swing or they're independent, he would have to change his rhetoric.
That's right.
But he hasn't, like, I don't think he's ever really done that. Like, is it predictable that he could have said that, like, no, that, like, and he has been saying for 4 years that he won the last election? Was that predictable that he was going to say that? Yeah, of course it was, because he's been saying since the run in 2016 that if he lost, that it was rigged. So yeah, it was so unbelievably predictable that if and when he did lose, that he was going to say that it was rigged. And, like, he's been saying that for so long now, and his base believes that passionately. that if he was then to come out and say, no, I did actually lose, if anything, he might gain in an independent or an undecided or a swing voter, but he's going to lose twice as many people in his own base.
Precisely, because nobody does extreme like extremists.
Yeah.
Right. So many of his base are on the extreme side. So what's he going to do? What's he going to do? We're gonna look at the gun control regulations because too many people are getting shot. Well, think how many people he pisses off there. Look, we're gonna look at expanding Medicare and Medicaid and trying to strengthen. We're gonna fix what's wrong with the Affordable Care Act, but keep it in place. While he fucking loses a bunch of people there. We're gonna look at trying to help the middle class. And maybe try to do things there. He gains people there, but then all the fucking rabid, unfettered capitalists, they all jump off the ship. Like there's nothing he can do to incrementally increase outside of his base without pissing off his unbelievably extremist base.
Yeah, I mean, like every possible like road to getting more voters on his side is one step forward and two steps back. Every single possible one, every policy position that he could take or that like he could go out there and say is that it's one step forward and two steps back. Because the last thing that any presidential candidate wants to do is piss off their base, piss off the people who are like assured, no, I am going to go into the voting booth in November and I'm going to vote for them. Like that's the last thing that you want to do. So look, we'll continue, we'll burst on through because I know that there's probably some stuff coming up that I do want to talk about, and that I was kind of thinking there will I say it, but I haven't actually watched this video, but I just kind of presume it was the longest one of like highlights, so I just kind of presuming that it's in here, but we'll find out.
His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term.
See, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire them.
This is someone who is...
You freed 5,000 members of the Taliban, and then during this debate in a few minutes, he talks about inviting Abdul to Camp David.
Yeah,
the head of the Taliban is named like is not named Abdul. I did look up his name afterwards. Like, is it really Abdul? It's not, but it's something else. He says fucking Abdul, and from 2015 on, right? His whole thing, I know the best people. I'm going to hire the best people. Nobody in the history of the United States went through as many White House chiefs of staff, fucking press secretaries, like all the way down the line. He had to fire all these people because they were shit. And he didn't fire all of them. A lot of them fucking walked away. They're like, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want my name attached to this shit.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Also, I was just going to say, so like, yeah, like he brags there about, you know, the deaths of the 13 people, like, and whatever else. Yeah. And he went to Arlington Cemetery and then committed a fucking felony. I mean, like, guy just can't fucking help himself but do them. But also, just in the kind of, it was after the last stream that I did about Arlington Cemetery and all that sort of stuff. During Trump's presidency, 63 Americans died in Afghanistan during Biden's and Harris's term? 13. I'm not saying that excuses it or whatever else, but I mean, on this specific issue, on this ludicrously hyper-specific issue of just Americans in Afghanistan, Trump has a bigger fucking death toll.
By 4 times.
Like, what, yeah. So, like, it's not necessarily the win that you think it is, man.
Yeah. Weird flex.
Yeah, very, very weird flex. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know that she's gonna probably bring up, because she did bring up about inviting him to Camp David and stuff like that. So we'll burst on.
Openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy. We had a fake Russia investigation
We do have a lot
that went nowhere.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you...
Like, this is exactly what I was talking about, man. Like, fill in your fucking How were you going to do that?
But so there's 2 problems with that. The first problem is, if you really cared, wouldn't you just say, hey, here's my ideas, use my ideas.
Yeah.
To save lives and end a war, whether you win or not.
Yeah.
And 2, this is something I had to look up because I'm like, I don't know, but no, that he actually doing that before he's sworn in as president. If he tried to negotiate on the behalf of the United States, that would violate the Logan Act because he's not an official ambassador to the U.S. So he'd actually be breaking the law by doing what he's saying he's going to do.
Yeah. He has also said, and this would also be breaking the Logan Act, probably, or like the UK equivalent. He has also said that if he becomes president, that he won't talk to the new UK Prime Minister. Fucking hell, I was blanking on the concept there. What's his fucking name? Keir Starmer. That he will only talk
to what end?
That he will only talk with Nigel Farage, who is a cabinet member, who is he is an MP, but I mean, like his party is not even like they like make up a tiny minority of the seats. So I mean, like in what world can you talk to an MP that's not actually the prime minister? Because like you're not going to do anything. Nothing's going to actually get done. Like he's not in power. Keir Starmer is. So like, yeah, I mean, it. Yeah, it's. I mean, like, it's maybe not even violating if the UK has like a direct one-to-one like version of it, because like he is a representative of the UK government. But I mean, like, it's like it's just weird. Like it and.
Yeah, but it's just moot. It would be like going to speak to a school janitor to inflect to have an impact on education policy.
Yeah. You're
not going to get anything done by doing it.
Yeah, it's just what did he fucking say about 5 fucking seconds ago?
The war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect.
Yeah, like he's talking about, you know, it's literally just, man, like how are you going to do that? How are you going to set up a fucking meeting between Putin and Zelensky and have this sorted before, like, in like a day or like very fucking soon? Like, how on earth are you going to do that? He keeps saying that like Putin wouldn't
can't do that anyway.
Well, yeah.
The Hague has already said that they want Putin. Putin can't leave Russia. He'll be arrested for war crimes if he leaves Russia.
But it's just
so you think Zelensky's gonna fucking go to Moscow?
Yeah, exactly.
As if that's gonna fucking happen.
Yeah, but it's just like, even in a hypothetical world where like he could do that as like a representative of the US and everything else, and the meeting is set up, what exactly is he going to fucking say to him? He keeps saying, "Oh, that this war never would have happened if he was there." Yes, it fucking would have. Putin's been planning this shit for fucking decades. Shut the fuck up, man. Like, he has been planning this for so. What do you think that, like, as soon as Donald fucking Trump left office, that he was like, right, well, now's my fucking chance to like, no. What, like, on a whim, he just decided, no, now is when I'm going to do it? He would have done the exact same fucking thing, and as if Trump would have had an iota of a fucking difference if he was president.
I think in one way, what Trump just said may have actually been true, because had he been president, the U.S., which is this whole thing about NATO, where I'm sure we'll get into NATO as well. Contributions to NATO are based on GDP. U.S. has the greatest GDP. U.S. pays the most. It's not rocket science. He thinks they pay too much. This is just one more thing Trump doesn't understand. But what Trump would have done is Trump wouldn't have supported any of this stuff. So you're right. The war wouldn't have happened, or the war would have been 3 days long, because Putin would have rolled in, crushed and killed everybody. And he would just, as Harris will say later on, be sitting in Kyiv right now, looking at Poland.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, we'll burst on.
He says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is, it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again, because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin.
I don't even know if you actually picked that up. He said crime weights.
Yeah. Well, that wascally wabbit.
Well, yeah.
No, it's also a gigantic non sequitur. They were talking about Ukraine, and then he moves into, national security. You're letting people into the country. Yeah, you're not even talking about the same. You're not even talking about the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
But what Harris said there is just perfect. It gets a fucking golf clap.
Man,
it was beautiful.
It's at times I'm kind of a little bit like for this debate, I wish that there would have had been a live audience for it, because the fucking shit would have been like deafening for her.
Yep.
I get why an awful lot of people prefer this debate and the one that he had with Biden, that there wasn't a live audience, because you know, the cheers can go on for quite some time and it takes away from the time of actually debating. I get that. I hear that. I understand that. But like, it would have been the cherry on the cake of this debate if they had had a live audience, because the fucking cheers that she would have gotten.
Yeah. And it would have played much better.
Yeah.
For Harris than it would have for Trump.
Oh, 100%.
Most of the crowd, like to the things that he said, the crowd would just be like, the fuck? Whereas like when she's landing these, metaphorical, knocks, solid knocks to the chin, like she's doing, yes, you're 100% right. But I think I agree with not having an audience because of what you said, and that it pulls focus from the time.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also, like I said earlier, a pat on the back is only a foot away from a kick in the ass. And so you get these cheers and jeers and stuff like that. And you have to be careful not to think too highly of yourself.
Yeah.
And get caught up in your own emotion, because not that Trump would ask a clever question, but someone else could ask a clever question, and then you're caught off guard because you're thinking about how amazing I am. Look, listen to all these people cheering for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's only a couple of seconds left of this. I kind of hope that there's going to be some of the moments that I'm kind of thinking of, but let's press on.
Endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective.
No, man, I didn't have half the fucking bits I was thinking of.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Shit, hang on. Wait and I see if I can fucking find some of them.
Will you find that? I'm just going to step away for just one moment.
Yeah. That's no problem at all. Fucking hell. What was the other fucking moment that I was thinking of? There's one bit anyway, definitely. That was another one. Yeah. Oh my god. Of course. How did I not fucking think of this bit? Okay. Yeah. So we have these two clips set up. Jesus Christ, this has been. I'm kind of fucking thrown in at the deep end almost here, because like the last couple of fucking streams that I've done have been like 40 minutes, 45 minutes at the most. We've been going for 2 hours now. This is a little bit out of usual for me. But look, we knew that this one was going to be longer, right? We knew that this one was going to be happening for like a little bit longer. So yeah, and then like when I had reached out to Michael about doing a podcast and stuff like that, that like it was the one that I had kind of set up, and he was okay talking about it. Like, so it was just, I knew obviously, like, if it was just me, probably would have ended maybe about 20 minutes ago. But with like Michael and somebody else's opinions, whatever else, and we were talking and bantering back and forth, it's obvious that it's like going to be
People are telling.
I'm back.
Wonderful. So I have both of the bits that we were talking
And get
about.
this. No, get this.
Lovely.
And the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders.
This bit.
And this
Motherfucker.
former president,
Exactly.
as president, invited them to Camp David because
You see-
he does not again approve.
Time over for a second.
You know that that's what she wants to say.
Did you see there were all the memes that were floating around with that picture with like on the side, Samuel L. Jackson giving side eye?
Yeah.
Because-
100%. That's 100. Man, she has said, she was asked in like an interview or something like that, you know, what's her like favorite swear word or something like that. And she was like, well, look, I can't really say, but it starts with an M and it ends with an And it's like, I'm told what she wanted. But they just, man, I'm sorry. I have to fucking listen to that bit again. It's so good.
And receive respected world leaders. And this,
She wanted to say it.
Yeah.
Look at the head in her. Like
Right.
she wanted to say it. I wish she
Yeah.
had. I'm sorry. I wish she had.
Yeah.
But
But the
Oh.
pearl clutching that would have happened. Like,
that's true. Yeah, optically, yeah. Like I get for like optic reasons why she shouldn't have said it, but like at the same time, it would have just been such a. Ooh, like you want to talk about making kind of like viral moments and stuff like that? That would have fucking done it.
it would have been a mic drop for so many reasons.
Yeah,
But the problem with that is that the person who is applying for the job of being the most powerful person on earth just has to be held to a higher standard, right? But nobody missed, right? Like that was an interesting inflection point because nobody missed what it was. Everybody knows now that with that, like when she's staring down, it's basically, okay, compose yourself, Kamala, compose yourself, right?
yeah,
That she has absolute disdain and zero respect for this guy.
yeah. Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, but it's just like all of the kind of like reaction videos that I've seen to that moment, like all of them are just like in like they themselves, whoever's filming it is like saying motherfucker, or like all of the memes that like you had said about Samuel L. Jackson giving a side eye. All like everybody knows what she wanted to say.
Yep. 100%.
But yeah, so I think even maybe that like she didn't even really kind of need to say, because she kept the optic side of it. Everybody knew what she wanted to say, but she didn't actually say it, so she didn't kind of come across as like, you know, like just straight up attacking him. Like you could like she spent the entire debate attacking him, but you didn't have that like one moment, you know. But yeah, I don't actually even know how this particular moment wasn't in the compilation that we've just watched, but there was then this bit.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is...
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't have earphones in right now and my cat could have heard that, he would have perked his ears up. Like, what in the name of Christ? What in the name of Christ are we even talking? Like, this, like, just take for a moment, right? Just take a moment just to realize that that happened in broad daylight in real life, that this wasn't like some fever dream that someone cooped up, right? And then just appreciate for another moment the fact that like somebody started this as a Facebook post, right? And it was of a photo that wasn't of a Haitian immigrant, right? That's number one. And it was a photo from like I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. Like, this is not happening. This is not happening. There was another bit that was wasn't in the compilation or that bit actually, where it was he had said that abortions were happening in like the 9th month, that like they will like
Oh no,
give
no, no,
birth
no,
and then
not just
happen.
no. Remember,
Sorry,
if you got to
yes,
get it right.
afterbirth,
Post birth,
yes,
post
post birth,
which is in other words, murder. No, it's
Yeah.
hysterical. There was I forget the name of the book. It was a book that my wife recommended to me, and it was basically talking about like women working in the patriarchy and stuff like that. And it was something very, very interesting. And you saw, because from here, like he was already spiraling, right? But the wider shots after this bit, he was shifting more and gripping onto the lectern even more.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my wife about it, and she reminded me of this bit from the book that she had recommended to me. And it's basically the line goes, it's paraphrased, but the line goes, women are afraid men will kill them. Men are afraid women will laugh at them.
Yeah.
And she laughed at him. And there's so much power in that, because it, like, for everybody watching that, they could see and that is another, to your point, had there been an audience there, they would have had to rush both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump to the emergency room, because all of the oxygen would have been sucked out of the room.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Out of the stupidity of that statement.
And like, I seen an awful lot of other people as well. They were kind of saying like, oh, well, that like Trump had like a 3v1 because the two moderators kept, like, it's not even that they kept, they only did it like 3 times where they like fact checked him and stuff like that. The female moderator, I have no idea what her name was, but after he had said about abortions after birth, she literally just as cool and as calm as you can possibly imagine, as you can possibly picture, just said there is no state in the US where it is legal to murder a baby, and then just moved on,
and then just moved right on,
just said it and moved the fuck on, just like literally. It was just kind of like, I'm just going to place this down here and now on to it. It was
beautiful.
Yeah, genuinely, it was fantastic.
When I heard that kind of bullshit afterwards about how, it was 3 against 1, 3 against 1, they were fact checking me and stuff like that, I was reminded of the line from the movie Liar Liar, right? The 1990s, Jim Carrey. When Jim Carrey's characters, the secretary says, so-and-so's on the line, he needs your legal advice. You just got arrested for doing something stupid, right? And he takes the phone and says, stop breaking the law, asshole. What I said was like, they're fact checking me. It's like, stop lying, asshole.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had to interrupt you to say, oh, you just said was bullshit. And again, I also forget that woman's, the female moderator's name. But what you said was just like, everything he said is fucking bullshit, and just moved on. It's like, oh, what he just said, that's a fucking lie, right? And it was perfect, because that was the other thing that Harris said. She kept on, like she said at the beginning, she set it up. What you're going to hear is a bunch of lies. And I heard this one. It was Conway. Conway, I think, was on Brian Taylor Cohen, Jeff Conway or something like that, political commentator. He said, prior to the debate, he said, what would be really, really good is every time Trump finishes making a statement, because he's going to lie with everything he says, what she should do is say, that was a lie, and then correct what it is, right? She didn't even have to do that, because the moderator stepped in and was like, yeah, that's what he just said is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, genuinely, this was such a good and interesting debate, man. Like, it really, really, really was. What was I going to say to you then as well? Like some of the kind of fallout then afterwards, where Trump said that there will not be another debate between him and Kamala, and where he said that you know, oh, that like when a prize fighter leaves the ring and when they ask for another debate, that like they're like basically admitting that they lost. Dude, you asked for another debate against Biden. Are you admitting that you lost the one that everybody else on planet fucking Earth agrees that Biden lost? Like, is that what you're now saying, or are you just a little bit scaled because you got your ass handed to you on national fucking TV? Like,
well, yes, because what he wanted to do, because it was probably fun for Trump to punch, because he was punching down during the Biden debate.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
He wanted to do, he thought, well, fuck, I'll do that again. And the reason why he didn't prepare in any way, shape, or form for this debate is because he thought it was going to be like a Biden second debate. He thought he would be able to intimidate her. He thought he would be able to roll over her. And he didn't expect her to come with receipts, facts, and the ability to not only take the punch, but counterpunch right away.
Yeah. Lindsay Davis, by chat, has just told me is the name of the female moderator, and David Muir, M-U-I-R, Muir.
Muir.
Yeah, Muir, were the names of the two moderators. Yeah, the two of them were absolutely fucking fantastic. And
did you hear afterwards that Trump was talking about Muir and said he said he has really great hair, but not as good as it was years ago. He actually said that. Nobody both of us being so follically challenged.
Oh yeah. No,
can speak about this, right? The last person, other than us, who should be talking about the quality of someone's hair is the guy with whatever that is on his head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So some of the things that happened then kind of afterwards, this is going to get into the fallout part of it, and thank fuck that we are kind of reaching the end of the natural end of the stream. It's currently 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm getting tired.
Only been 2 hours. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. But
oh yeah, fuck, it's only 10 after 8 here.
Yeah, see that's the problem. So Taylor Swift then endorsed.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
that's right.
She then endorsed Kamala. Wrote a big long fucking thing.
Signed childless cat lady.
Yeah, and signed it as a childless cat lady, and that was absolutely a dig towards JD Vance. To which then JD Vance said,
"What's happening?"
You shush, Trump. We're finished with you now. Said in.
Don't you wish you could do that in real life? Just push a button and mute him.
Yeah,
just
I
click
know it would be fantastic. But they had said that nobody should really be kind of listening to the opinions of a billionaire. Do you know who you're running with? Do you know who you're running with? Have you heard of him? Have you heard of Donald Trump? It's a little bit kind of shaky on the billionaire status, but extremely rich and wealthy man. Like, you know who you're running with. It's just insane, absolutely insane.
But he's got to. I think he is hurting right now a little bit because you know whose plane Trump is using right now, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he's using a redecaled Jeffrey Epstein plane.
Yeah, which is just not really the win that you maybe kind of think it is. Jesus Christ. So the other thing that I have to kind of share as well, unfortunately, I wish I didn't have to kind of talk about this, but after Taylor Swift's announcement, Elon Musk tweeted this. Why can't I highlight it? It's because I'm not fucking it's not because it's because I'm on the wrong fucking screen. That's why. So I can highlight that bit, but it's because it's a fucking photo. Jesus Christ. All right, okay. Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life, which is genuinely, and I'm not trying to be facetious here, genuinely one of the creepiest most like
Yeah.
rape adjacent fucking statements that anyone has made. Man, he is the richest man on the planet, owns the largest social media platform on the planet, and is casually out here just talking about wanting to impregnate a woman 25 years his junior.
Yeah.
What
It's
the
like,
fuck is wrong
what
with
is
you?
Musk? I think we're gonna have to rename Musk Uncle Touchy
What?
or
Yeah,
something
but
like that.
I mean, like I genuinely believe that Elon is playing a game of averages, right? So he's lost custody to all of his other kids, so he wants another one, so maybe he can keep custody of that one.
Now, Elon Musk is on the spectrum, right? We know this.
Mm.
So I'm not trying to make excuses because there's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
However, that could be part of the reason why. It's not an excuse, but it might be part of the reason why. It's still super gross. And
Yeah, no, absolutely.
but I mean, yeah, I mean, he does have an organic brain disorder.
Yeah, it. I don't know, man, because like I'm on the spectrum in like two ways. I have Asperger's syndrome and I'm also ADHD. Like, but it's just like when I just that response is just so like just we had talked a lot about optics even just in the like last little while and on the last topic and stuff that. Like, but it's just like, man, like how on earth did you view that as an optically okay thing to say? Like, how did you anticipate zero fucking backlash from that?
Yeah. Well, then the I guess another side of the coin is I'm wrong and he just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I could be wrong and he could just be like, I have so much money, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, like he is essentially like sort of like untouchable in the in a sense. I mean, like even if he was like, you know, like taken to court or something like that. I mean, like he could probably bribe his way into just paying a fine and then just pay it and it's gone, right?
Well, yeah.
So like
He could just say, Taylor, like I'll give you $5 billion and I'll donate $10 billion to a charity of your choice.
Yeah, and like, but like it's just, man, like living with my past roommate who like did kind of make like occasional kind of guest appearances on the show, like learned a lot about kind of like just like what like women in general have to kind of go through on a fucking daily. And man, like they are like, and that's just like, you know, your like average everyday woman that you would pass on the street. Like you are then talking about Taylor Swift, like who is arguably, even though I am probably the opposite of a Swiftie, I just don't find her music palatable at all.
I find her music repellent.
Yeah, like so we had like not necessarily an argument, but we definitely had like a disagreement of a taste over it, where I said of her music that like it's beige, right? Nothing wrong with beige. Not a lot of people like beige. I just find it boring.
I'd go further than that. I find it to be the musical equivalent of chloroform. Like
I've just never, and I mean, like Taylor has had like a very, very, very long career. I have what I look for in a vocalist or in a singer is that one kind of like moment in like the bridge or the crescendo of a song where you're kind of like, fuck, where like vocally it just kind of takes you, it makes your hair stand on end. Not that I have that particular sensation anymore, but it's you know, like that feeling where you almost get like goosebumps or something, where it properly takes you back. She never have that for me. So for me, I just don't personally like her. But that's not even to talk about the shit that I am sure is like, you know, you talk about what women on a daily have to go through. I mean, it's times what, like a quadrillion that she would have to fucking deal with. You know, like I have like
I'm sure that she has people on staff.
Yeah.
That she may not be 100% aware of what they're doing, and their job is just to filter out the shit that she doesn't, so she doesn't ever have to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, 100%.
You know, 100%. Somebody's assistant to an assistant They're not really an assistant. Their job is to scrub through shit so she never sees it because it's that bad.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's not even to kind of talk about. I think it was actually only earlier this year. It feels recent, where there was like a bunch of like AI images of her like basically getting like gangbanged by like whatever, by the sports team that her boyfriend plays for or something like that. Like, sort of like she was like the victim. Yeah, so she was the victim of like a horrific attack based on like AI and like all this sort of stuff. And I mean, it was extraordinarily sexual and everything else. So, you know, but then to even kind of go further on that again, and like when Trump posted out AI images of her saying that like that like, oh, you know, like the Swifties want you to vote for Trump, whatever else. How on earth, like, man, we're talking about people, as you've just said, who have like who have a staff, but then they also have people to do like grunt work for them. So in that, like, you would have people who are like advisors to your staff. And
of course,
how
no doubt.
Somehow how someone didn't how that didn't filter up to Trump of just going like, yeah, she was already the victim of an AI kind of, you know, like thing. Maybe not the best idea to put out an AI image of her. It's just, you know, how did that not happen, man? How did that, like, how?
Because it didn't get, because the filters in their realm don't filter for misogyny because they don't care.
Yeah. I mean, it is literally the only fucking explanation. And genuinely, so Taylor also famously kind of came out and endorsed Biden and Kamala for president back in 2020. I don't.
Oh, did you? I wasn't aware.
Yeah. I don't actually know. There's like a little bit of kind of disagreement with it, right? Not that Taylor got like an awful lot of backlash back in 2020 for it, but I don't actually know if she would have endorsed Kamala had Trump not done that AI attack on her and made out as if she was endorsing him. Because what she said in the post was, I have to set the record straight.
Yes.
So
targeted.
Yeah. So like, it's targeting this about these AI images that Trump put out. And so like, I don't know. It could have just been like another reason why she endorsed her. It absolutely could have been, but yeah,
it's entirely possible that the subtext was basically like, look, motherfucker, you brought this on yourself. I wasn't going to say shit, but you said this. Now I have to come out and say something.
100%.
It's entirely possible that was the subtext.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's wild and wacky fucking times that we're living in now at the moment. What was I gonna say to you? Right, okay, just to kind of wind down and to kind of wrap this up after fucking 2 hours and almost
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Just kind of based on kind of like what we've seen and what we've talked about, and knowing that there's not going to be a third debate and stuff like that. There is obviously going to be the vice presidential debate, which I will be watching as well, between Tim Walz and JD Vance. If you were to call the election now, right here, right now, in this present moment, who do you predict is going to win the presidency?
Harris, by less than 50,000 votes spread over 5 states.
Yeah, I would kind of argue something very, very similar. Unfortunately, I still think that this race is going to be a nail biter. I still think
it will be. It will be. Yeah. Absolutely.
I still think it's going to be like ridiculously close. It obviously shouldn't be. It shouldn't be close.
It shouldn't be. There's a qualified, intelligent, coherent candidate in Kamala Harris. And then there is the fucking person who rides in the trunk of the clown car.
Yeah.
Who cannot possibly be taken seriously by anyone who has more than 3 brain cells and 6 teeth.
Yeah.
I know that sounds terribly stereotypical,
Mm.
and it is, but I also think it's mostly true. Just watch some like Jordan Klepper or any
Yeah.
of these other guys who go to these rallies, right, and stuff like, or Luke Beasley or some of these people who go to these rallies and just listen to the people. Listen to the people that support him, right? And then flip the coin and talk to the other people who support Vice President Harris. Then talk to all of the economists who've come out. Harris mentioned this during the debate.
Yeah.
Economists have come out and said, your plan adds $5 more trillion to our national debt,
Yeah.
and doesn't do anything for anyone who makes less than $400,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to anybody like General Milley, who has said he poses an existential threat to the democratic state of the United States of America. Like all of these different people, like honestly, you have coherence and clown car.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, I mean, the like kind of the downside of it for the, I would still say like somehow still undecided voter, is that like it's the impression or the idea of that it's just a continuation of what Biden is doing now. But I mean, Kamala's economic plan is basically a copy and paste of Bill Clinton's. And when you when you scrub away the whole like Monica Lewinsky, I never had sexual relations with that woman, when you like scrub away all of that, man, what Bill Clinton did for the US economy was like almost unrivaled in terms of like growth, in terms of strength, in terms of where people were on affordability of like groceries and bills and rent and everything else. When like it was a time of US economic boom when he was when he was in charge. So like if that's the plan that you're trying to replicate, like she is the obvious choice, but it's still kind of seen as just a continuation of what's going on because she is vice president, and unfortunately an awful lot of people don't know that the vice president has basically fuck all power and influence and everything else. So yeah, it's
she can barely influence policy. She can offer opinion.
Yes,
and that's it. And that's about it. But the other interesting thing is that it's weird. I am hoping sanity prevails. Right?
Yeah.
But you have Joe Biden, who is center right.
Yeah.
You have Harris coming in, who's center, maybe a tick to the left, not much.
No, not much.
I wouldn't want either of them to be Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They are both too far right for me.
Yeah.
I am like social democrat. There are times when I have to vote liberal to not hand a seat to the conservatives.
Yeah.
But I would much rather vote NDP. Basically, like hardcore socialist. If Bernie Sanders was in Canada, he'd be the head of the NDP.
Yeah.
I would much rather vote that way. Sometimes I cannot, and sometimes I hate that I have to vote strategically, but I do. But neither one of these are bastions of like they call them radical left. You are fucking stupid if you think Kamala Harris is radical left.
Yeah.
That is fucking dumb.
The Overton window has shifted so far to the right.
Yes, it has.
And I mean so far to the right that, as you've just said, Kamala Harris is seen as radical left. Like like in any other country on the planet, any other first world country on the planet, they are as center as you get, or even right leaning. Yeah. So
it's like take Harris, take Biden and Harris, and plunk them in the UK, plunk them in any I would say almost any, certainly Northern European country.
Yeah.
And they're fucking radical right-wing Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
By comparison. You still don't have anyone there. You still don't have Harris saying, like, did she say that healthcare is a right?
Yeah,
I think
did.
she actually
yeah,
did say.
She did.
She did say that healthcare is a right, but she's not prepared to look at a single payer. I don't think the US has that in their DNA. But I mean, because they don't understand the difference between socialism, communism, and single. They don't understand those differences. But that's what it would take for someone outside of North America to look at Harris and say, "Oh yeah, she's left wing."
Yeah, 100%.
It would take something radical,
which is like basic in every other fucking modern country.
Exactly.
The only other thing that I would have to say on it, the one part of her debate that I genuinely, you could kind of excuse, okay, she was a little bit nervous at the start. The one part of the debate that I absolutely did not like is when she had said that Israel has the right to
defend itself.
And it's just like, man, I am so obviously and transparently on the side of Palestine in this conflict and stuff like that. It's just unfortunate that the US and Israel are such close of allies, and to kind of say, especially in a presidential race, that you're against what Israel is doing, and you're going to turn to the side of the Palestinians and stuff like that. I get what that would do. I mean, it would basically be like career suicide, especially would be handing the election to Trump. But again, that's where an awful lot of kind of like much younger voters, like Gen Z voters, are going to kind of make or break that election. And I know that an awful lot of them are going to vote for Kamala so that Trump doesn't get in. It's not so much a vote for her as a vote against Trump. But like, if she came out and said that there needs to be a ceasefire right now, and that Israel needs to stop what it's doing, and they need to be held accountable for what they have done, she would get every single one of the Gen Z vote, man. They would go out in droves to vote for her, because it's the young people who are completely against.
Yeah, but she'd lose so much on the other side too.
Yeah,
and that's part of the problem.
It would be one
right?
step forward and like 5 back.
Yeah. So the problem is that you're 100% right. Like, so what happened October 7th?
Yeah.
Was a terrorist attack of disgusting proportions carried out by religious military extremists on citizens. What has happened in response to that is something that Netanyahu and the members of the IDF should be dragged into the Hague to, just alongside Putin.
Yeah, 100%.
Because they have slaughtered non-combatants.
Yeah.
Slaughtered non-combatants. Now, Hamas has been smart about making sure that the way they hide themselves and the way they conduct themselves makes it so the slaughter of innocents is almost inevitable, which is still terrible. But if the US can go in and surgically kill bin Laden, then why can't a UN force or something like that go in and surgically eliminate Hamas?
Yeah.
I think every member of Hamas should be, I do not support the death penalty in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But every member of Hamas should be locked up and never see the light of day for the rest of their lives. That's my solution. So I'm right alongside you as far as that goes. I think, should innocents in Israel be slaughtered? No. The response is not Netanyahu telling the IDF to slaughter women and children and other non-combatants.
Yeah.
That is not the answer.
Yeah.
So should Israel be able to defend itself? Yes, but not how they are. And and the Palestinians should also be able to defend themselves. When you look at the map of how it's set up, fucking Palestine is this big.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
stupid. And it's just, yeah, it is a topic that you can obviously see provokes a lot of emotion in me as well.
Yeah, no, look, but I mean, the same for me, man. Like, you know, I mean, like, I am exceptionally proud to see that Irish flags are being flown in Palestine. You know, I mean, the Irish people, the Irish government is so transparently on the side of Palestine, and they have sent aid to Palestine, and but I mean, like, it's in our culture, and it's in our recent history that we remember what the fuck it was like to be controlled by an occupying country, and you know, to like a country that is fighting for its independence and its freedom, to call those people terrorists. I mean, then you would have to call the Irish people or our ancestors terrorists. Then you would have to call America's ancestors terrorists. Then you would have to call virtually every single country that the UK occupied terrorists. I mean, like, it's I mean, it's just ridiculous. You should not and cannot be called a terrorist for fighting for your independence and your freedom. It's what each and every
it is
one
interesting
of us
that you
wants.
point. It is interesting that you point out that parallel, because, you know, I mean, England has had to be pushed out either at the point of a sword or the butt of a gun from every country they've ever gone into. I am not a fan. And Israel would have to do the same with Palestine.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a very interesting parallel that you draw there, and I agree with it. And yeah, I mean, the only thing we can say is, like, Canada, all we did was ask. We're just like, hey man, we want to separate. You know, sorry, when we want to separate. But yeah, no, but it's, you know, so it's not quite to the same degree. But Canada was not invaded by the English the same way you were.
Yeah.
Canada was not occupied by a foreign military force the same way you were, and the same way Palestine is currently occupied by a foreign military force. And the fact that every NATO country isn't calling out Israel for lining up on the border of another sovereign nation and invading, what the fuck is going on with that? And I'm not a politician, I'm not a military anything, but just common decency would say, how are you okay with one country invading another country?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's baffling to me that the people who are so passionately against what Russia is doing in Ukraine can't see that there's even parallels to that, what's happening in Israel and Palestine. And you will have some people who will passionately defend Israel or Ukraine and will be on the side of Ukraine, who will then say, no, but Israel has the right to defend itself. But like,
what's the difference? What is the difference between someone defending themselves in Kyiv and someone defending themselves in Gaza?
Yeah. 100%.
What's the difference between those two things?
There isn't one, and that's the point.
Yeah, it's rhetorical, of course, obviously, but but yes, there is this. I don't understand. I don't even know what to call it, but there is this air of, I almost want to apply like the fallacy of special pleading to it. Like it's okay for Israel, but not okay for everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is just special pleading, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I can call it. It's not the right thing, but it's the only thing I can call it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, so like, I mean, like, that would be the only thing that I would have to kind of criticize her for, like, genuinely, and you know, where I'm kind of saying like it, and I mean, like, it's not even kind of nitpicking and stuff like that. It would just be like, no, I think you have the wrong opinion there. But again, I understand that she couldn't take that position because I mean, like it would. I mean, it would turn off so many voters from voting for her, and you know.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no. Look at that. This was an exceptional stream. I loved how this went and everything else. I knew that it was going to be a long one because I was reacting to a presidential debate, which itself was 90 minutes. That's not even talking about the you know, how it went and what happened in it and what was kind of said in it and everything else. But yeah, no, I mean, like, thank you so much for joining me for it, man.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. It's reminiscent of when I go on to Jefferson Spatricock's channel.
Yeah.
Because we get tangential as well. So and he's just in Michigan. Like he's only a 4-hour drive away from me, not a 6.5 or 7-hour flight like you are. So, but you know, like we talked about before, and the offer still stands, brother. If you ever come out to Canada, you got a place to stay.
100%. 100%. I'll definitely be taking you up on that if I venture out to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, and we should you know, fire off another email if you want to do something like this again. I think it's
100%.
a gas. I enjoy the way we can riff off of one another in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, coming at it from gloriously and thankfully from the outside. Like the reality is this stream ends for everybody watching this, and like outside of impacting the world, it will impact my daily life and Steven's daily life this much. Because you know, we have the glory of, again, you know, the US being my underwear, and you know, and you being, you know, across the pond, so to speak. So it's, you know, but I give a fuck because I'm a humanist, you know, and lives are, in varying degrees for varying reasons and in varying ways, lives are at risk from this. Right? Like there will be consequences should the US elect an autocrat.
100%. Mm-hmm.
And that's something that actually could impact us, right? You know, if he were to have his way and pull out of NATO, you know, the UK's in NATO, obviously Canada is, so many other countries, like NATO would have to basically reform itself and say, okay, everybody else, we're going to have to pony up some more dough. And we're going to have to, you know, Canada would probably have to, like, in that kind of a nightmare scenario, Canada would have to, you know, up its military. You know, I think we have a tank now. But you know, we definitely have to up our military a little bit to make up for the cavity that would be left from a betrayal like that. But you know, we care about people, we care about humanity, and other animals as well, obviously, not just a human animal. But we care about these things, and that's why Stephen reaches out to, you know, to loudmouth Canadians like me to talk about this shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's kind of part of like the, you know, like kind of almost like rebranding of the channel in a way, and I would be kind of taking a little bit of like what you had said much earlier in the stream, which is just that, like, you know, this is US politics, but it's from the like Irish person's perspective, you know, and it is like an outside person's perspective, like and stuff like that. Like, and I mean, like by definition, then I'm not biased. I have no dog in the race. I can't vote for Kamala or Trump. So like it's, you know what I mean, like it as you have just said, it bears not one iota of a difference to me in my daily life what happens at the end of this election, unless of course something like astronomical kind of happens, as you had said. But it's just interesting to me, and you know, it's I'm fucking delirious now because it's genuinely, it's very fucking late. But anyway, no, look, thank you to absolutely everybody who has been watching for the duration of the stream. Thank you to everybody who's going to watch afterwards. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that YouTuber bollocks, and I shall talk to you in the next one.
Cheers.